Hello and welcome to my new Guitar-Nerdery video, number 140, What and Why Melodic Minor. I'm gonna tell you about a scale, and actually a whole scale system with 7 different modes, like in the Ionian system, like the church modes, that you should know. If you ever came across chord symbols that look like this, and you do not know what to play over this, the melodic minor scale could be one of them answers. The melodic minor scale derived from the harmonic minor scale, and the reason is because the harmonic minor scale always comes with what we associate with an oriental sound. I've made a video about the harmonic minor scale. It's Guitar-Nerdery number 57. The harmonic minor scale came into existence by solving a problem. It already happened way back, hundreds of years ago, in the classical era. When composing and playing cadences, there was always a disappointment when composing in minor. Let me explain to you by using the C Ionian system. All chords that can be created by using the C Ionian scale, the C major scale. We have the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Each of them notes I just played of the C Ionian scale, of the C major scale, can be a root of a new scale and a root of a chord. On the whole, we then get 7 different chords. In the C Ionian system, we have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. And the first chord, the fourth, and the fifth are major chords. So, out of these chords, we get the most popular cadence, the 1-4-5. Chord progression. C major, F major, everybody knows this. One thing comes in very handy here, the 5th chord, the G major chord. When we add a 7th to it, it's a minor 7th, it's the note F. And this chord contains 2 guiding notes that lead to the root chord again. The B of the G leads to the C, to the root of the root chord. And the 7th leads to the 3rd of the root chord. If I play only these 2 guiding notes, you still hear the progression. In my Guitar-Nerdery video number 57, I go very much into detail with this, so look it up if you want to know more about this. And now we come to the problem that appears when composing in minor, when we want to play an equal, interesting cadence, a 1-4-5 with a dominant tension chord that resolves perfectly into the first chord again. When we want to do this in minor, we don't have it then. The parallel minor chord of the C major chord, the A minor chord, which is the 6th in the Ionian system, in the C Ionian system. Then from this point of view, if I make this the first chord, from this point of view, the actually 2nd in that system is now the 4th, and this is a D minor. And the 5th chord is the 3rd chord of that system, it's an E minor. So we have a cadence, 1-4-5 in minor, A minor, D minor, E minor, A minor. So back then, already hundreds of years ago, it was decided that we need a major chord as the 5th chord, so that we have at least one guiding note. If we do this, if we change this, we have A minor, 4th is still D minor, but then we change the E minor to E major. And the major 3rd here, the G sharp, is the guiding tone to the root of the root chord. Now we have a nice cadence, a 1-4-5 progression in minor with a chord that creates tension on the 5th step that resolves perfectly into the 1st, into the root chord. And now comes the issue. The A minor chord, the root chord, is the chord that comes out of the Aeolian scale. A Aeolian. Which is called in the classical music the natural minor scale. And when changing a chord, the E major chord now, we changed one note. We changed the G to the G sharp. That we have to do at that moment with the scale 2. After this, we can go back to simple Aeolian. That is, in short, the reason why we have something like the harmonic minor scale. On the long run, it created a new problem, because by raising the 7th note, the minor 7th to the major 7th, we get a distance of an augmented second between the minor 6th and the major 7th. All scales of the Ionian system are diatonic scales, and a diatonic scale is a scale which consists only out of whole tone and halftone steps. By creating the harmonic minor scale, we bring an augmented second into it. And always when we have an augmented second in a diatonic scale, we get something too. We get something that we associate with an oriental sound. So by changing the 5th chord in a minor cadence from a minor chord to a major chord, we solve a problem. We get a satisfying cadence, but we also get an added oriental sound, and that was not always wishful for composers. So there was a new problem that had to be solved. And here the melodic minor scale comes in. By raising also the minor 6 of the harmonic minor scale to the major 6, we get rid of the augmented second interval. Here, this is A harmonic minor. And here the augmented second from the F to the G sharp. If I make the F an F sharp, this is the reason why we have a melodic minor scale. And there is a classical theory and a jazz theory. We always talk about the same music, but you can have different points of view. And let me finish this part of history by approaching this melodic minor scale with those two different point of views. Classical music is actually not so much thinking music in chords, but in voices. And a chord is more something that appears at a moment when you analyze it. And the melodic minor scale, from the classical point of view, only makes sense when playing it upwards, because then you have guiding notes. hitting the root again, it's resolved, and when we go backwards, we can go back to the Aeolian scale. This is the way the melodic minor scale is approached in classical theory, in classical music. And when we get to the point of jazz theory, why would I play the scale differently back than upwards? I can play it the same way back as I play it upwards. Then I get a new scale, and like in the Ionian system, every note can be a root of a new scale, and we get a new scale system. And that's what I'm gonna talk about in those next 2 parts. In that second part now, I'm gonna stick to the melodic minor scale, to that root scale, and show you 3 note per string scale shapes, which I'm very much into. I'm gonna show you now everything in the key of A melodic minor. Just to remember, we came from the A Aeolian scale, and to get to the melodic minor scale, we had to raise the 7th, the minor 7th to the major 7th, and the minor 6 to the major 6. So we get the notes A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. These notes I'm gonna put only on the low E string, upwards the neck, until I meet the A on the octave. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and here we are through. Here's the octave A. Now we regard each of them notes as a starting point for a new scale shape. So we get 7 notes that makes 7 possible scale shapes with the concept 3 notes per string. I'm gonna start with the first note, with the note A. So the concept 3 notes per string means I play 3 possible notes on one string, starting with the A, B, C. The next note would be the 4th, D, but it's the 4th note. I have to play it on the next string. D, E, F sharp. The G sharp, then the last note, I have to put also on the next string because it's again the 4th note if I play it here. And this I can continue, and then I get this shape. On a standard tuned guitar, there's no other way than the shape that comes out of this procedure looks like this. Let me use the same procedure starting at the second note, B. B, C, D. Now comes the note E. I have to play it on the next string because it's the 4th note. F sharp, G sharp. And then the next note, the A, I have to play on the next string because it's again the 4th note. Only 3 notes per string. So the scale shape here looks now. And again, on a standard tuned guitar, the scale shape will look like this. I'm gonna play now through all of them 7 scale shapes over the root chord, which is an A minor major 7th. Right, this chord doesn't exist in the Ionian system. This is very special. This is the root chord of the melodic minor scale. guess you've heard that I played the same scale the whole time all over the fretboard. And now we come to part 3 of this video. I want to tell you about the modes of the melodic minor system. By using those scale shapes. Here they are. I just played through all them scale shapes over one chord. Then all these scale shapes are the same scale. But we can do it differently. We can regard each note where I started from, building up that scale shape, as a new root. And then those intervals change and we get 7 different scales. And different from playing just all 7 scale shapes along the melodic minor scale on the low E string, now I play all these 7 scale shapes from the same note on as a starting point, from the note A. Then it's gonna be much easier for you to hear the difference, to understand that we actually get new scales if we change the roots. You have to understand now that this is exactly the same how the Ionian system, the church modes, came into existence. We had a major scale, and by defining each of them 7 notes of that scale as a new root, we get a different starting point. Those halftone steps within that scale change their positions, and we get different intervals. And when we get different intervals, we get a different sound. And this melodic minor scale system is no different from this. We do just the same, defining each of them notes as a new root, and we get 7 different scales. And those scale shapes are the key to visualize them on the guitar fretboard. The next thing that comes in very handy, that the names of the modes in the melodic minor system are related to the names of the Ionian system. I'm now gonna reduce those scale shapes that go across all 6 strings to the first octave, because we only need 1 octave to visualize something. Those scale shapes have a range of more than 2 octaves. We don't need this to visualize it. So here it is. This is the melodic minor scale in 1 octave. Basic tetrads are made of the root, the 3rd, the 5th and the 7th note of them diatonic scales. And if I do this with the melodic minor scale, we get the chord A minor major 7th. Let me play the scale just for you to hear the sound. So, melodic minor is the root mode of the melodic minor system. Sounds logic. Let us get now to the second mode, and that is called Dorian B9. B9 stands for the minor second. You can also call it Frisian 6, and by using them scale shapes and compare them to their equals in name giving of the Ionian system, in this case the Frisian mode or the Dorian mode, you can see what is meant by calling it Dorian B9 or Frisian 6. Dorian B9 is simply means it's like the Dorian scale with a minor second, or the Frisian scale with a major 6. third mode of the melodic minor scale is called Lydian sharp 5. And the name says it, like Lydian with a raised fifth, with an augmented fifth. And the basic tetrad now is an A major 7th sharp 5. Sounds like this. You have to get used to this. And now the scale. 1, 2. The fourth mode is called Mixo sharp 11. It simply means it's Mixolydian with an augmented fourth. It's sometimes also called Lydian dominant because it's like Lydian with a minor 7th. I call it Mixo sharp 11. Let's hear how this sounds. The basic tetrad is simply an A dominant 7th tetrad. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth mode is called Mixo flat 13. Just means Mixolydian with a minor 6. The 13th stands for the 6. The root chord is again an A dominant 7. We have the second dominant scale in the melodic minor system. That's very interesting for jazz enthusiasts because jazzers can't get enough of dominant scales. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mode number 6 is called Locrian 9, simply because it's like Locrian with a major second instead of a minor second. And the root chord, the root tetrad, the basic tetrad, is, like in the Ionian system, an A minor 7 flat 5. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4. The last mode now, mode number 7, is called the altered scale, or also Super Locrian. Super Locrian because it's like Locrian, but there's one more note altered down. It's the perfect fourth. It's altered down 1 half tone step. And there's an issue when doing this. That way it becomes a major third. There's the rule, a major third is always a major third. So the fourth is not a fourth anymore. The formerly minor third then becomes an augmented second, because this also is not allowed to be in existence beside a major third. Looking at them chord notes, 1, 3, 5, 7. It's a little bit difficult here because the third note is now the augmented second. We actually can build a minor 7th flat 5 tetrad out of this scale, But on the one hand, in jazz, there are not so many scales needed to cover that kind of chord. But them jazzers can't get enough of dominant scales. And this is what it becomes. The Ordway scale is a dominant scale. We take the root, the major third, and the minor seventh. And we can get rid also of that fifth in thinking, because the most important notes of a dominant 7 chord is the major third and the minor seventh. And that we have. And the fifth is not so important. So we can play this Ordway scale, this super Locrian scale, over a dominant 7 chord, and it's a very often used scale in jazz because it's pretty dissonant sounding, and the more dissonance you have on the 5th chord, the greater the tension when there's a relief to the root chord. Let me play this scale over an Ordway dominant 7 chord. This is the sound that scale actually needs. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the Melodic Minor system, all 7 modes. A whole new world of different sounds to explore. I'm gonna stop here before your heads are going to explode because of all that over-information. I hope you found this interesting and I could give you good information and make things much clearer for you and maybe make you interested in diving deeper into this topic. That would be fun. If you liked this video and want to support my channel, please, if you not already have, please don't forget to like and subscribe and maybe also leave a comment. Everything of doing this or simply watching my videos helps this channel a lot. I'm looking very forward to see you next time.